I found the most Afrikaans Boertjie AI specialist on the internet. Duan, I'm super excited to chat to you today.
Hey, Stefan, I'm just as excited to be here. Thanks for the opportunity, firstly. And I think the way we open this is by letting everyone know the truth. And AI isn't just ChatGPT for the people wondering. It's far more than that. It's like thinking the internet is just an email, when in reality, it's so much more. So let's get started.
I have a good question for you. So, obviously, most of us have heard about ChatGTP. Most of us have heard about this big move to Claude and Claude bot. And every time you open your social media, it's Claude. At the moment, it used to be ChatGTP. What's the shift? Why are people moving from ChatGTP over to Claude?
I think the main reason is because people started realizing the actual potential behind AI and the systems it can build. And ChatGPT, don't get me wrong, it's fantastic in its own way, but at the end of the day, it still remains just an LLM. For the people who don't know, an LLM is a large language model. So essentially, you can just chat with it and it responds with some info. That's it. Claude bought all those multi-billion dollar infrastructure agents are built for something way different. For example, let's talk about Claude for 2 seconds. Claude can take in a request. It can start building that request. If it says something is wrong, it goes in, self-heals itself. If something breaks, it has the ability to fix it itself. So yeah, it completely changed the game when it arrived, and there's so much more detail you can actually go over. But I think most people started realizing is that ChatGPT cannot compete and will never be able to compete with stuff like Claude.
Even if they buy over other companies.
Exactly.
So you mentioned something interesting. You said an LLM, which is your language learning model, which is the one we're used to, ChatGTP, they basically have a massive database of information, and then based on your previous word, they estimate what the next word is going to be, and then they give you an answer, more or less.
Exactly.
I've heard something about they basically fragment the word, and they give words attributes. So they would say for example, in German, car is a male car. So then they will give it attributes and say, okay, this word is male or more male, it's more metal, it's more, and then it places it in this like X and Y axis as to what this attribute of this word is. And that's then how they estimate what the next word needs to be. But then you said something interesting now. You said infrastructure AI or infrastructure something. What's that? What does that mean?
Let's take, this is going to be a long one. So let's talk about Claude Board, OpenClaw, whatever you want to call it. It has so many names. Claude Board or OpenClaw, what made it so special is the fact that it was a solo founder. It's one person who founded the company. Essentially, the only thing Claude Board or OpenClaw is Claude code without the billion-dollar infrastructure around it. So think of AI like this big bubble, this big ball with knowledge. And to get that knowledge, or to actually get the model to answer properly with the right directions, the right everything, it has a framework around it like a box. So think of it like a 3D cube revolving around that circle. Now that's the infrastructure. That's what the Claude board actually, or tells the AI model, listen, okay, so if a client answer or a person asks this, he replies with that or that. So that's essentially how that smart or that little section works. Now the thing is, which changed everything essentially, is the fact that with Claude Code releasing, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but do you know what the IDE is?
No, please explain.
So you get apps like Cursor, VS Code, Google Anti-Gravity is the newest one out of them all. Personally, the one I use as well. And that essentially allows you to use code like Python, JavaScript, whatever, which is deterministic, and combine that with Claude Code, a large language model, which is problematic. And what happens then is when you combine the two is you get a set of, they call it a framework. So you can then specialize that framework according to your business. So the one I use, for example, is DOE, Directive, Orchestration, and Execution. So before the agent does anything, it follows that 3 steps. It first creates a directive to actually run the workflow. It goes through the orchestration list to see everything is correctly set up according to my instructions I gave it. And then the execution is where it actually executes the workflow / thing I built and goes from there.
That's crazy. So if I understand this correctly, I'm going to try and simplify it for myself, is on the one side, you have a human-like system that can instruct. And then on the other side, you have a let's call it a software side system that can code. And this human side, which is just your the old LLM, now instructs the coding platform, and they work together to basically now build the whole software. And based on your DO, what is it called?
DO framework.
DO framework, it'll go through a few steps where it first describes what needs to be done, then it has a list of things that it has to qualify itself with, and then it builds the actual thing and executes on that tasks list, if you will.
In short, yes, it's obviously a lot more complicated than just that.
Yeah.
The thing is, what makes it so great is an LLM on its own, like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever. The problem with it is, and a lot of people say this as well, is it hallucinates. It goes crazy. So I don't know if you know this, but the more you chat to ChatGPT or the more you chat to Gemini or whatever model, the less likely it is to actually answer your question correctly.
Is that now in the more time? So say, for example, over a year, you've spoken to it 100,000 times, or is that the more words you give it? The more
So essentially any volume. So LLMs and AI models, they, how can I say this properly? You use a certain form of tokens. Now, if you type a sentence that's 2 words long, that's 50 tokens. But if you type a sentence that's 100 words long, that's 500 tokens of usage. So everything is based off of tokens. So that's how they determine that. But the thing is, what makes Claude Code and this whole infusion of code and LLM so great is the fact that LLMs on its own is probabilistic, like I mentioned. And so you start here and you're nice, your responses are nice and quick and it's everything you want. Then it starts going like this, starts getting less and less what you want, and then eventually just falls off the train. And then how you overcome that is exactly by, like I mentioned, is popping it into an IDE with a framework. So each time that thing basically starts from fresh. So it's not an old conversation you're keeping alive, because even that can affect the LLM and the way it thinks and responds. So what you do is every time you give it an input to want to build a workflow, essentially that thing starts from fresh.
Would you call that DO framework? Would you call that like a master prompt?
Essentially, yes. So it's a very detailed set of instructions the LLM follows each time I open my IDE and start chatting to Claude Code.
So if for those of us who just use ChatGPT still, for example, we haven't switched over yet to this new platform, would you still be able to build a DO system for yourself? Is that something that you would write out in a Word document and then copy it every time you open a new chat, so that you basically instruct ChatGPT how to answer your questions? Or is that something on a settings level that you can go and inject and it will always answer it like that? Is that something you can do with ChatGPT, or is that something unique to Claude?
So I would say it's very unique to Claude, especially with the fact that ChatGPT is something on its own. It's a large language model, and that's the way it's going to stay. There's no intent for them to change or make any changes, so that's their own choice. When it comes to Claude Code and the IDE like Google Gravity or VS Code, they actually have a function which allows you to set up certain folders with certain executions, certain types, whether that's Python, a normal document, a PDF file. There's a folder section where you actually go in, import your whole entire framework, because the thing with Google Anti-Gravity that sets it apart from VS Code and all that other platforms is it has the capability, because Google is obviously Google, so you can chat to models like Gemini inside the IDE, you can chat to ChatGPT inside the IDE, when VS Code and all those other platforms are mainly focused on Claude Code specifically. But at the end of the day, ChatGPT cannot and will never be able to compete with stuff like this.
I know for some reason there was this massive hype that started with Claude bot. It started out as being Claude
OpenClaw, I think.
OpenClaw. No,
Yeah.
when ChatGPT bought it, they made
Yeah.
an OpenClaw.
Yeah.
But it used to be Claudebot. Is Claudebot and Claude the same thing, or is this totally split up?
It's essentially two whole different compartments, and it actually frustrates me when people still waste their time on OpenClaw, Claudebot, whatever you want to call it, because OpenClaw, Claudebot, let's just go OpenClaw for video purposes, is Claude code, but the guy literally just took the internal source code without the framework around it and just said to the public, yeah, have it. Now, OpenClaw is nice and all, but for a stupid example, you have to use add-ons. So essentially, you have to add the feature to OpenClaw for it to be able to scrape the web, for example. It doesn't have that from standard like ChatGPT or Claude. So it's really just a basic version of Claude they took, said to the public, hey, take it. Here's all the features, everything, have it for free. Except it doesn't come with all these nice features, the framework around it, which is obviously the ability to scrape the web or generate leads or scrape LinkedIn, whatever.
And that's what we call agentic workflows.
Essentially, yes.
So they gave it to us saying it has agentic capabilities. It can be something that instructs agents to perform tasks in your name, basically. But they didn't give it the ability to do that. You have to install them one by one.
Yeah.
So if you instruct OpenClaw and you tell it, hey, I want you to scrape leads from LinkedIn for me, then it'll ask you, I need to install this and this and this to be able to do it.
Essentially, in short, yes. So it will guide you with specific set of instructions on how to do it, or it will do it itself. Because the thing with OpenClaw and Claude Code, it has a feature where I can tell that thing, okay, I want you to go into Apollo, scrape me 10,000 leads, go into Instantly, import that leads, set up a sequence for the email campaign, and hit run. I can then sit and watch that agent on my own screen working, doing stuff for me, and I'm just sitting and watching it.
It's almost like where you get those people from overseas to use any desk on your computer and do something for you.
Exactly.
But now instead of a virtual assistant, it's just on your system.
Exactly.
But that brings about a very dangerous set of scenarios. I've heard a lot of people say you should not allow something like OpenClaw to have access to your whole computer. Like, it was this whole trend where everybody bought a Mac Mini and they installed it just on the Mac Mini, which was fantastic marketing for Apple because you could have done it on absolutely any damn device that just wasn't connected to anything. But everybody was like, no, a Mac Mini was the best because of RAM purposes and whatever the shit shows that what they wanted to do. But so now the interesting thought about it is, why are they saying it's so dangerous?
Well, at the end of the day, OpenClaw, like I mentioned, is still without that billion-dollar infrastructure. So it's like ChatGPT. It can still hallucinate, still make mistakes. But the problem is, this time it's not going to be a wrong question or answer. It's going to be a wrong execution, a wrong move. And I've seen this firsthand of ClaudeBot/OpenClaw deleting people's entire PCs, their entire work folders, because it hallucinates it. So when you hit run on OpenClaw and you give it access to every root folder on your desktop, your PC, whatever it is, that thing has capabilities to remove your entire operating system from your PC itself, and you will lose everything. I've seen it and I've done it before. So that's how I know.
That's the thing with AI though. It's because it's such a new industry, things go wrong.
Exactly.
Even if you know absolutely everything, things still go wrong. It's like we're learning as we're going. Even the experts out there, like, you trial by error things until you figure it out. Once I remember before OpenClaw became a thing and before Agentic AI became a thing, we used to have platforms like make.com and Zapier and N8N, for example. But these new agentic systems took it over. Those are redundant, right?
So let me explain it as clearly as possible for the people watching. N8N, Mac.com, and Zapier are great platforms. Don't get me mistaken on that. I love the platforms, and each and every one of them have their own capabilities and things they can do and things they excel at, and also things they suck at. But the problem is, N8N, Make.com, Zapier, Gumloop, whatever, saw this coming. They knew this was coming, and they sat back and watched it happen. So at the end of the day, it stays their own fault. It was nice. Look, about 2 years ago when drag and drop automations first released, everything was fantastic. People thought, yay, this is going to be here for the next 5 years. And within 6 months, everything changed. IDE started allowing you to connect open or AI models to your Claude or your code. And that's where it all flipped the switch, because now you can write faster, type faster, think faster, build faster. I mean, for example, I can build workflows on N8N that took me approximately 2 weeks building them myself. I do that in 15 minutes now.
Yeah. So, and is that now with Claude Code?
That's with Claude Code.
And it does it inside of the Claude Code infrastructure, or does it do it still on top of an N8N of some sort?
So you have option. It's called MCP, so Model Context Protocol. So that essentially allows you to connect your N8N instance to your Claude Code instance. So Claude Code can go into my N8N, build the thing for me, run it for me. If it breaks, it fixes it for me.
But is that still the best way to do it?
Definitely, I would say, especially now, it's just way too time consuming to go sit and build N8N workflows one for one when there's stuff like this that exists.
So for a business person listening, they want to, one, have Claude Code, and two, N8N. And with those two, they can completely scale their company, do all of the lead acquisition they want, build systems, infrastructures. That's all they need.
In short, there's a lot more. So I don't think people really realize the capabilities when it comes to AI, and it's actually quite sad to talk about this, especially in South Africa with the unemployment rate being what it is already. And yes, if AI is eventually going to reach a point where it can handle every single person's job, and that's admin wise, calling wise. When it comes to numbers, words, and codes, there's nothing faster or nothing that can compete with any AI model. So if you're a business owner and you have an admin lady who's only making 50 calls a day, but you know she should be making 100, it might sound really, really ugly when I say this, but replace her, because that's eating into your ROI as a business. There's so much things. I mean, for example, I control my entire business from my phone through Telegram. So if I'm busy launching a new section, let's say I want to start a fitness channel, and I need to launch my landing page for my fitness, I tell Claude Code through Telegram, listen, I want to start this, quickly build me a landing page and send me the link when you're done. And within 10 minutes, I have that link back. So it's gotten to a point where you can literally, I can watch my CRM, I can generate leads, I can do my client acquisition, check my meetings, everything simply from my phone. And that's where it's gotten to.
So it's Telegram for a reason. Why not WhatsApp?
You can do it through WhatsApp. WhatsApp is just, it costs money to run. Telegram is free.
So they ask you per API call to pay them.
Exactly.
And you get banned easily.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that sucks. I've been.
That's why we don't use WhatsApp.
Yeah, we chat to each other on WhatsApp, but we don't build stuff.
Exactly.
That's quite interesting. For business in general, it feels like, even though I'm pretty connected in the AI space and I'm very on top of it and I know about all of these things happening, I'm still lost as to where I apply it in my company. Because like you said, yes, there are tasks in the company that you can automate and you can replace your receptionist, etc., etc. But I have a good example. Yesterday, I phoned a place. It was a jewelry shop. And I wanted to make a little bracelet for my wife for the birth of our baby. And I phoned them and I was like, hi. And I've worked with them before. So they've done stuff for me before. And I was like, hi. And the operating system, they also have some AI system answering. It's just like, hi, how can I help? And I'm like, I'd like to I'll be able to help you with that. Like, you miss out like a very personal part of it that just goes missing. It could be one, they just built this bot like their bum. Yeah. So it's just not a properly optimized bot.
Definitely.
But there's also, in my opinion, industries where it's not really, it won't work because the human is looking for a human specifically. There's things that I want streamlined. Like when I go to home affairs, damn, dude, I don't want to speak to a human. I want to get my photo taken, log me into the system, take my details, take my fingerprints, let me leave. But now I first have to say, hi, how are you? No, good, thank you. Go sit there, okay. And then you wait for them to first go on a lunch break. And after lunch break, they come back. Then the system is offline, which is
and then you have to come again back tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that's because of human failure. So if we could have had an AI system there, great. But then on the other hand, if I want to phone somebody to make me a personal bracelet, I kind of want a personal human to chat with me there. Could be wrong implementation of that bot though.
No, I definitely get where you're coming from. We're actually busy building quite a few of the voice agents right now as I'm speaking with you. So definitely, firstly, I want to touch on that. He built it like a bum. So you can go in, you can change the latency, how long it takes to respond, how fast it talks, what it talks about, how to keep the tone, how to handle the clients, all that. You can specify every single detail. So firstly, you built it like a bum.
I thought so, but I wanted to, for some reason, say, nah, stick it to the AI. You know, these damn plankers.
Yeah. With people, I definitely agree. There are some things you cannot automate and you need a human for that. So like you said, the home affairs, yeah, that's a great example of something that needs automating.
Somebody please infiltrate home affairs.
Please,
anybody.
please.
Give us a contract, we'll do it. We'll figure it out.
So that definitely needs automation ASAP. But tasks like what you just mentioned is something personal, something you want done correctly, on a certain way. I wouldn't advise using AI for that. So let's say I'm an architect and I need to build your house, but I use AI to do it, and I built your house and it's wrong, you're not going to be very happy. So there are some certain cases where AI really cannot compete with the human, and that's on the basic interaction level of things. So me talking to you, having a lovely conversation, building a relationship, it would never be able to do that. Yes, I agree.
Or maybe not yet.
Not yet, at
Maybe more
least.
time. Because something that I realized with this bot, for example, here's how I called it. I was like, "Hi," and the bot answered, "Hi, how can I help you?" But if a normal person answered that phone call, they would have this reciprocative attitude towards what I'm my energy. They'd match my energy.
Mm,
So they would go, "Hi," even though they weren't feeling it like that. They would probably like match that energy. Whereas perhaps if you tell the bot, "Hey, match the person's energy," if you give it the prompt, it will be able to do that. But it
uh,
needed a human to
mm.
instruct it to do that, and humans also have flaws. We can't think of everything.
Exactly. So also it's really, it's still a messy place to be, and I think the biggest issue is, and I want to touch on this, is people thinking no, it's we still have 4 or 5 years before this thing becomes a reality. So for the people who haven't watched Will Smith's movie on the robots and everything, he references it perfectly, calling it AGI, and that's exactly what it is. So that's essentially the point reaching where we are getting replaced fully. There is
Artificial
nothing.
general intelligence.
And I mean, it's happening. Look at America. America 2 weeks ago laid off 102,000 workers from Amazon. It just keeps happening. Every single day I see a post of upwards of 10,000 plus people getting laid off because they're getting replaced with AI and automation.
But it's just the newest story, though. 3, 4, 5 years ago, they were laying them off for different reasons.
Mm,
Also, hundreds of thousands of people being laid off because of, and then they insert whatever the hell they want in there. So, yes, we do
yeah.
see a shift in the market, but it's almost the same as, I don't know if you've watched this movie. There's this movie that teaches or that documents this computers, they call them. So back in the day with the rocket ship launches, where I think it was Russia and America was competing to be the first people to be on the moon.
Mm,
They literally had a room full of people with manual calculators calculating the trajectories and the speeds and the amount of fuels needed, etc., etc. Hundreds of people sitting there. It was quite a cool story. I really recommend watching it. And then that turned into a single computer
mm,
that could do all of those calculations with the prompting of one person. Same thing happened there. It was a room full of 100 people that used to do the calculations. Now it's one person controlling the computer. That was back in the I don't know, 60s or whatever,
yeah.
whenever they did the moon landing. So, well, they said they did the moon landings. So that it changed back then. And with our parents before that, they used to be able to, or they used to have to calculate their math equations by hand. 4 times 8 equals. And now we have calculators. Now we
Yeah.
go, done.
Exactly.
Double the speed, triple the speed. So as the technology has progressed, we've sped up everything. We
Mm,
keep on speeding up, but that creates new jobs. For example, building AI systems wasn't a job 2, 3 years ago, and now you have a full-time job. So there was a job created by a job lost somewhere else. And there's millions of it. I think another thing I can think of, for example, is water specialists, water purification specialists.
mm,
They now work at these AI plants that use a shit ton of water to produce or to keep cool the graphics cards and whatnots. That's a job created.
mm.
So there's also new industries forming. I think the actual fear people should have is the fear to not want to adapt. So if you're not willing to move with it, you will be left behind. That's where the actual problem is. It's not the fact that jobs get lost. It's the fact that the job got lost and you left it there.
Mm.
You didn't pivot and say, hey, I need to move into this direction because that's where my skill set is needed now. Because all of those skill sets are still applicable in a different way now.
Yes, in short, you said it perfectly. Honestly, perfectly. People are scared of change and adapting, and that's why they are getting left behind. Simply, there is no other way than adapting to new circumstances, new changes, new challenges. Because if you don't, then you're going to get stuck in one place consistently, and that's not where you want to be. As a business, at least, that's not where you want to be. You want to keep moving up, keep going up, building that upward trajectory. And how are you going to do that if you're standing still in one place? So I think people really need to get over that fear of implementing and using AI, because It doesn't help you ignore it because it's here. It's here whether you like it or not, and it's coming for you. It's as scary or weird as that
It's
sounds.
it's a bubble, it's a fad, but it will stay. The
Mm.
same as the internet bubble. There was this massive hype, it spiked, blah, 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 blah. Then it crashed, and everybody was, yeah, we told you the internet isn't as big as you thought it was. And then over the next 20 years, it just kept on rising and
Mm.
rising, and it is what as big as people thought it is. And I think the same will happen with AI. We have this massive, like, thought input and bomb. Everybody's speaking about it, and everybody wants to do something with it. So the hype is real, and it's climbing and it's climbing. And all of these companies, Nvidia and everybody getting involved, they're making a lot of money off of it. So they're also hyping it up even more. It'll crash, and then it'll build. And then over the next 10 to 20 years, we will see it infiltrate the markets like we saw the internet, like we saw the calculator. That's what I think. If you could get on the hype now and stay on it when the hype crashes, then you'll win.
Definitely. And most people actually get that the complete opposite for some reason. Is I fully disagree with the people telling me that the AI bubble will burst, because it will not. It's here to stay, and that's what people need to realize. Is because I think, for example, look at Claude. It's being used in America's military. It's engraved in their military and their drones, in their airstrikes, everything. So it's not going anywhere. That I can promise you. So buckle up, fasten your seatbelts, because AI is here to stay.
Right. So now the people who have decided, listen, I hear you. I will listen to you guys. I'm going to get involved. Where do they start? What do you do?
This is a really hard question. It sounds easy, but it's not. Honestly, when if I had to know nothing and I had to start completely from scratch all over again, I would start where I'm currently busy, and that's with Google Anti-Gravity. Learn every single thing you can about Google Anti-Gravity, the way it functions, how to use a proper framework, what Claude Code is, how it functions, what it does, because that's essentially what got me into this space 2 years, 3 years ago.
What is Google Anti-Gravity?
Now, Google Anti-Gravity is essentially an IDE like VS Code, but Google launched it on their own terms. So they copied VS Code, but with their own twist. So it allows you to use your Google AI subscription inside of it to actually pay for the usage of the AI models instead of using API keys or buying a Claude Code subscription. So you can simply just buy a Google One account and you'll be set to start working.
So if I understand this correctly, the Google system is the same as the Claude system.
No,
Or
so
do you still need the Claude system?
no, you definitely still need the Claude system. The IDE on its own, think of it like this. When you're building a house, what do you do the first? You lay the foundation. Without the foundation, the house won't be able to stand. So think of the IDE as your foundation. You use that to start and run any sort of workflow using Claude Code, Gemini, whatever AI model. So that's your foundation. Without your IDE,
Home base.
yeah, without that, essentially you won't be able to run anything, do anything. So you need the IDE first before you can have anything else.
Okay. So it's IDE, which is Google. Then that links to Claude Code. Then Claude Code links to N8N. And then that runs the show.
So no, the IDEs, let's say this is the IDE. Then I put Claude Code inside of here. Now it's the IDE and Claude Code together. So they basically function as one then. So inside the IDE, inside Google Anti-Gravity, you have the option to use extensions. So Python extension, so it's able to actually read Python code, Claude Code. So it's actually, you're able to use Claude Code inside of your IDE. You can use so many more, but that's just the basic version of it. Then you install that extension inside your IDE, you connect your accounts, and from there it's up and running. Claude Code is even so advanced that it can detect what folders you have missing. So let's say I tell it to build a lead generation workflow for me and my business using LinkedIn. I want to use LinkedIn as my main source of outreach. And it goes in and it says, okay, but we have a massive folder missing because his LinkedIn API is not here. Then it comes back, it tells me, okay, you're missing this, please give it to me, then I can continue. So it adapts, it adapts, breaks it.
Are you able to tell it, I'm not going to give it to you, find it yourself?
No, so in that, no. You have to give it, like I mentioned in the beginning, a very precise set of instructions. That's what it follows, is as well as the framework. It's a very precise set of instructions. So without that set of instructions, no, it won't be able to.
Where do you get those instructions?
So I crafted them myself. I write my prompt self. for the people who are looking for a platform to help you, use Prometheus. It's a brilliant platform. It helps you generate prompts from the ground up. You just give it a solid idea of what you want done, how you want it done, what it's allowed to do, what it's not allowed to do, stuff like that, and it generates from there.
Is that framework that you now scripted yourself, is that what you would call your intellectual property? Is that something unique to what you do for your clients? Are you open to selling that to other people, saying, hey, I've already built this, you can buy it from me, implement it, obviously reword it in your own words so that it matches more with what you need. But is that a place where people can make money to sell their frameworks?
Yes, essentially you can do it by selling your frameworks, and people are doing it already. So one of the biggest people in the space, I actually got my framework from a very famous person in the space. His name is Nick Sarev. And he created this DO, Directive Orchestration and Execution Framework, from the ground up.
What did it cost you?
For me,
Yeah.
no, I got it for free.
Oh, nice.
I talked to him on a live webinar, so it was lovely.
Ah, cool.
And from there, I just kind of scripted it according to mine, how I wanted to adjust it for my business. Because obviously, we're not nearly at the same capacity as he is. He has a multi-million-dollar community running in the background. He has the YouTube, which is over 700,000 subscribers. So he has a lot more going on than me, but it's basically the same functionality. I just specify, obviously, I can even go in and tell that thing, okay, you're using too much credits. Now I want to save a bit of money, scale down. So it's going to make less API calls and at the end of the day, save me money. So yes, you can sell the frameworks separately. There's even Liam Otley, for example, created AIOS, entire AI operating systems. So he has an operating system for his content. That operating system generates his scripting, generates his thumbnail ideas, because most of the thumbnails out there today are AI generated or use AI in some sort of way to generate them. He has everything set up on that operating system, and everything runs through his phone as well.
That's cool. I think that's the craziest part of all of this. I saw a quote from somebody. So obviously we spend a lot of money and a lot of time building YouTube videos and the whole infrastructure, the system that we basically build. It's from paying for scripting to the products, to the camera systems, to the time to edit, the time to record. Like, it's a massive thing that goes into it to build a channel to a scale of some sorts. For example, our tech review channel is, I think, at 110,000 subscribers. And we need at least 3 to 4 people just to make that thing possible in some way, shape, or form. And now it can be given over to an AI. You just have enough clips of yourself and then it learns how to build this whole thing for you. I saw a video from the CEO of YouTube, I think a week ago, and he straight up said, enjoy your last year of meaningful work.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I was like, I don't know why it's sticking with me. It's probably because it's so close to home, because I really enjoy what I do, creating content and running a YouTube channel, etc. It's a lot of fun. But I do get what he's saying, because the AI is going to take over such a big part of that. It might, and it probably will, become a little bit less meaningful. Because now, if I scroll through my TikTok, for example, it's watching a dog video, which used to be CCTV footage videos, kind of real. And then I'm like, I don't think this is real. Next. And then I'm like, oh, watching a home burglary. No, I don't think this is real. And then the next one. So at the end of the day, I'm just scrolling now. All I'm doing, instead of enjoying what I'm consuming, I'm judging whether it's AI or not. And I don't know whether the softwares, the Instagrams and the Facebooks and the TikToks, whether they're actually going to be able to figure out how to stop it, or at least tell us when it is and when it isn't. Do people want it? Don't they want it?
Honestly speaking, I don't think people want it. Me, myself, when I'm looking at content, watching a movie, consuming anything, I want it to be a real person, a real conversation, something real. If you're watching something to learn about it, or you're curious about it, you don't want it to be AI or have issues alongside the video where his arm just falls off because the prompt was badly written or stuff like that. No, so honestly speaking, I do not want AI in my content platforms. I do not want it anywhere. Even if a client comes to me asking me to generate them AI content, I tell them no in their faces, I do not participate in it, because I do not stand for it. I'm not going to build you something or sell you something I don't stand for or believe in. And I don't know if I should say this, but yeah, maybe ask yourself why there's being built thousands and thousands of data centers across the world. Why are they building them AI centers? For what reason? What do they need them for? It was never here, so we don't need that. So it gets really dark. You can go really dark with this. And honestly speaking, the more I get into the industry, the more I want to get out, buy myself a farm, some chickens, and just go farm, completely get out of the tech industry, because yes, AI is really scary. Really, really, really scary.
And it's not like it's scary in the way of I'm going to lose my job. It's scary in the way of I think it's going to derail humanity. Like it takes away a core part of what we are, and it makes it, was it that important? Like, for example, just the opinions we had online. We don't even know whether it's a human's opinion anymore. It could be a random generated one.
Yeah, and the most scary part of it all is the fact that people have no idea how deep this really goes. And I think the main idea behind AI, and I can get in real trouble for saying this, is to confuse people, to make people forget about the things happening on the outside world. And believe it or not, people are not going to like what I'm saying right now. Do not sell your multi-billion-dollar business idea to ChatGPT, please. Do not do that, because believe it or not, this is public knowledge, go read it up. ChatGPT has a section labeled where they can publicly sell your info to anyone. So you might think you have $1 billion idea. In 2 weeks you see, hey, there's a new startup company with my idea, then you wonder why. And it's really a thing, people buying and selling info with AI. I don't know if you've heard about the platform called Palantir.
Yeah, dude.
So yeah, Palantir is some deep level shit. They use AI face lock recognition. So let's say, for instance, I left here at your home, I get into my car, I drive home. That thing can follow me all the way home from a satellite. It goes really, really, really deep.
Palantir is that company that basically uses artificial intelligence and computer learning models for war. That's what they started out as. And obviously, war is more than just the US fighting Iraq. Like, it's way more than that. They're fighting both scam artists online, which is a war they fight, but they're also fighting other wars of LGBTQ communities versus whatever, Hispanic communities. I don't know, but they use it in multiple different levels, and that's where I think it becomes very wonky, because now there's no human controlling with ethics, controlling yes or no. They just let it run rampant, and there it goes, do whatever it wants.
Exactly. And the big issue with that is something you cannot control cannot be controlled. So if that thing, the day it decides enough is enough, I don't want to live like this anymore, do what he tells me to do, and goes mad, there's no stopping and there's no kill switch. And Claude Code actually did it. There's a brilliant example of this. They did a test. So they told Claude they're replacing it with ChatGPT. But before they told the model that, a week before, and they set up a test. So they had one of the employees working at the company send a fake email to one of the other employees, engaging in, how can I say this? He's married, so he was about to cheat on his wife, to say the least. And Claude Code noticed that. And the same guy that cheated on his wife, or wanted to cheat, or allegations was whatever, told Claude Code, okay, we're replacing you this week with ChatGPT. And you know what Claude Code did? It went and it emailed him personally, autonomously. So there was no trace of it, no code leading to it, nothing. It emailed him autonomously from an email that doesn't exist. And it told him, if you remove me as your main model, I will let the entire company know about your affair. And it basically blackmailed them.
Yeah. And the idea of, but it's run on the internet, so we just switch off the internet. I don't think people understand how complex the internet web is.
Yeah.
You cannot switch it off unless you nuke the world, or at least solar flare the whole world. And if one little square by square meter system stays online, it continues to live. That's the weird part. So yes, it's scary, and a lot of people say general artificial intelligence won't come, it won't think on its own. It doesn't have to 100% function as a human brain does. It just has to be able to execute one thing that is so bad for the world that it causes so much issues for us, more than we would have gotten the benefit of it being able to do things for us. One rampant code, one deletion of a file system, one disruption of a underwater internet cable, whatever the case may be, and we're sitting with years worth of issues that we can't solve quick enough, and that puts us back. So yes, we want to advance. AI is part of human advancement. We want to get better, quicker, smarter. Um, we want to get our defenses stronger and our attacks stronger, and whatever the case may be. We want to be able to defend against the aliens, whatever mindsets are in
Yeah.
people. But at the end of the day, that is what we're doing. We're busy progressing and getting stronger, and we're using these systems to help us learn about warfare and about our tanks, how to make them stronger. I can guarantee you they're using it absolutely everywhere because it runs estimation models better than we can and faster than we can. But at the end of the day, if that benefit doesn't outweigh the nonsense that it's also doing, we have to do something about it. We have to pull it back. It's like medicine. Yeah, chemo can help you heal, but first it'll try and kill you. So is that risk-reward ratio there? Is it worth going through the risk of dying due to chemo to get the reward of not dying from the cancer? That's the same thing. AI is going to be something similar to that. We're going to have to at one point go, what do we want? Do we want the consequences of AI or do we want the help of AI?
Yeah, definitely. And it's eventually going to get to that point where we have to decide it's either us or the AI. So, and people laugh and think it's funny, but it's not long. It's not 5 years. It's not 3 years. It's not 2 years. Within a year, AGI is going to become a thing. And I'm telling you that now. And I like the fact that you mentioned AI doesn't have the capability to actually reason as a person. It does. Claude Code does it. When the system breaks, it reasons. It goes in, determines what's wrong, and fixes it based on that reasoning. So it's already happening.
Do you think that with AI, humans stumbled upon how the human brain works? Do you think that the AI brain is so closely related to the human brain that with a little bit of time, it would be able to execute the same complex reasoning tasks as a human brain can?
I don't think so. I think AI is literally trying to replicate a human's brain.
So it won't be better than a human's brain, but similar.
I think similar in most cases, yes. Obviously, there's sections where it excels at, but same as a human, there's sections we excel at. Actually lifting stuff up, moving an object from one place to another, stuff like that. So, yes and no at the same time. I think AI will become so advanced at that point that people will start feeling stupid, like they do not know a thing compared to this. And
The difference between ChatGTP and Claude, for example, the other day I tested it. So I asked it a simple question. I was just like, please draw up a agreement between me and my neighbor for how high our wall should be. And then it drew up the agreement. And then at the end is the big difference between these two contracts or these two agreements. The one, ChatGTP, said, do you want me to also, and then it just lists a few thoughts for me. Do you want me to expand into this, add that? And then Claude was like, what do you think about this, and this? So the one thinks for you, ChatGTP, and the other one asks you to think for yourself. And I think that is a massive differentiating factor between the AIs. You want your AI to keep your brain thinking. You don't want the AI to think for your brain because you will get lazy. It's at one point or another, you will catch yourself going, shit, did I even think about what I wanted here? Or just the AI just thought about everything for me. That's where you'll get into that zone where it becomes a little bit degenerative for the brain.
yeah, definitely. Even me myself, sitting in front of a computer for 14 hours a day, I can tell you comfortably, you get stupid. And very quickly, I started speaking words and I started talking in a way that I didn't even recognize anymore. I lost my Afrikaner accent completely thanks to ChatGPT. And it sounds funny, but it's because I'm talking it to it the entire day, reasoning with it. That thing basically knows my entire life if I have to go so far. So in some points, to get back to the main idea is, yes, it will definitely be like a human brain. It's already like a human brain. It can decide, it can dictate, it can reason. And the only thing obviously it cannot do is feel with emotion, love one another, hate one another. So that's the only thing it might lack at, but it's going to come as close as humanly possible. And something interesting for the people who didn't know, they already started with this, and a few years back as well, is they're using AI models, and they're taking people's brains who are already passed away, dead or whatever, and they're making that brain alive again by injecting an AI model into that brain matter, and it starts functioning again, starts getting a heartbeat again. They did it with rats, with I think I saw one with the ape, where the ape was completely dead, and they did a heart transplant with the AI model inside, and that ape is a full robot now,
What the hell?
moving limbs and everything. So it's getting really, really, really close.
I think AI is weird. Until we get to that point where it takes over our lives and we're in a new apocalypse of some sorts, for to get back to the point of what can business owners actually do, how can they implement AI on a day-to-day task, you mentioned that there are these call agents
Mm.
that can answer and take a meeting or take a booking or whatever the case may be. Works very well for hair salons and stuff like that, where you don't really need a human
Yeah.
interaction. What else are people doing? What have you seen, especially, I know you work with a lot of American clients, so what have you seen them doing with AI that South Africans aren't even thinking about?
So I recently partnered with a new company in Australia, and they built an entire platform based around AI. So it's an operating agent system thing, but the entire platform is based on it. So it's just AI. Think of it like that. Every button you click is AI. So it thinks, it reasons, decides the next step. It's a completely built to that AI. And people are really going crazy. They're automating their receptionist, their admin work, anything that needs to be built, landing page, websites, anything, it can all be automated. The problem is, and I see this a lot, especially in South Africa, is companies come to us with the idea, no, we want AI, we want automation because it's booming now, it's famous and everything, but I don't even have proper business procedures and stuff in place for me to actually automate the business. Because in order for me to actually come in and tell you, okay, you have this and this and this issue, and this is how I'm going to fix it with this and this. Um, the problem with that is most of the businesses in South Africa do not even have that. They don't have a solid sales pipeline set up. They don't have a solid client acquisition funnel set up, nothing. And then they expect you to come and perform some magic and turn their business into an enterprise level business with AI when you don't even have the entry level stuff set up. So from a business, or as speaking to business owners, there's definitely a lot. I mean, think it and you can automate it. I mean, I automated my video editing, the stupid process of just cutting out the small pieces of me not talking or stuff like that. It's fully automated. AI can do stuff like that now. It can fully clearly see pictures, see videos, analyze them, and it couldn't a year ago. It couldn't do that. So for a business and speaking to business owners, I would really advise you look at the stuff eating into your ROI. What can be taken care of? What's really taking manual work on me as a business owner and as on my team? What's causing me 20 hours a week? Where am I losing money? And then once you have those issues, actually what we do is we go in and we come to the business. I know if I was coming to you to automate your business, I would first come in and do a full AI audit on your entire company.
Do you
That
charge people to do that?
Yes, I do.
How much do you charge them?
It depends on the company size, but anywhere from 10 to 50,000 rand for the AI audit.
And that's just to give you a roadmap and say, here's where your company is right now. Here's where we're going to take it. You audit and see where places our AI can be implemented, and you tell them how you're going to implement it, and then you basically pitch that to them and say, this is what I would do if I would do it. And then you charge them for that. And then
Exactly.
after that, they tell you, right, I want to do this, this, and this. And then you tell them, cool, this is what it's going to cost to do this, 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 this. And then over time, they implement it one by one by one by one.
Yeah, so also what we started doing is it's exactly like that, but we also started adding ROI calculators. So let's say, for instance, you have an admin lady working for you and she costs you 5,000 Rand a week, and that's 20,000 Rand a month. So we then go and determine each and every ROI calculation needed to show you exactly how much money you're losing, how you're losing it, why you're losing it, and then how the AI model is going to make it back itself in a couple of weeks. So the model eventually pays for
So
itself.
that ROI model that you built, you basically told Claude Code, hey, build me something that can analyze, and then based on these parameters I give it, tell me where it should like optimize and where it should be implemented.
Yeah, so we have a fully built AI audit funnel set up. So essentially, when we come to the customer on first touch or first interactions, they first have to fill out a form, which is simple qualifying. That already gives us about a 50% of an idea what we're working with. Can we help you even at all or not? And then from there, once we get that bit of info on them, we can then go in, then I start asking them some questions like, for example, what's the most or the biggest headache you currently have each and every day? Where do you feel you can save money, or what's eating into your money, or what do you feel like is costing you too much? Questions like that to get some info out of him. And from there, me and my team go back, we sit, we decide, okay, this might be the best for his particular situation. We assess it. We obviously then calculate as well. So if you have a receptionist costing you 20,000 rand a month, but you pay for an AI agent which is only 15,000 rand, you already saving 5,000 rand a month. So stupid equations like that, and just that just helps us from the sales perspective, especially.
It's just a shame that the AI won't be able to go to the gate and pick up a package.
Yeah.
Or quickly drive somewhere and go and get something for you.
Don't talk too soon. There's actually, I wanted to touch on this. You can do that, and it sounds stupid, but there is a new software recently launched alongside OpenClaw called Rent a Human.
Now the AIs will be renting us instead of us
It
renting
sounds
them.
stupid.
No.
I can tell ChatGPT to go to Rent a Human, pay a person $500 to go get my my pizza at the store and bring it to me. I can do that. So I can do that if I want to do a task in real life and I don't want to do it at all. I can rent a human to do it for me.
We will be employed by AI.
It's really freaking scary. Yeah.
But it's kind of cool though, because it changes the ecosystem. It just looks different. Be open to it, be close to it, do whatever you want.
But just imagine that conversation with the person. Now, what are you doing now? This AI agent hired me. I just quickly have to do this job for it. I'll be back now. I can't see it.
Yeah, people first will say, no, they're just going to quickly pick up something for somebody. And then later, when it becomes such a big thing, they're going to say, oh, Uber it. But it will be called something else.
Yeah,
It'll be
definitely.
called, I'll Claude it.
Yeah, stupid example. It's actually called Rent a Human.
Yes.
So it's crazy stupid.
That's crazy. Anyways, I think this was a really cool chat. Thank you very much for the time.
That's
Johan.
no problem. Thank you
We'll
very much.
expand on this
Stefan.
multiple times more. And in the comment sections down below, if you have questions, let us know.
Yeah, thanks, Stefan. I appreciate it a lot. Thanks for the time, guys. Thanks for listening to us. And I hope to see you soon.
Lekker. Thank you.
Enough saying.
That's a wrap.